Jace Carson had never expected to encounter anything out of the ordinary on his shift aboard the Starlight Voyager, a massive spacecraft exploring the farthest reaches of the galaxy. The ship's corridors were quiet, mostly empty at this hour, and the hum of machinery was the only sound that filled the air. Jace, a young officer with a love for star charts and the occasional quiet stroll, had taken a break from his duties, eager to clear his mind and escape the confines of the command center for a few moments of peace. But as he walked through one of the less traveled hallways, something unexpected happened. The hallway, usually empty except for the occasional cleaning drone, had someone in it. Jace had only taken a few steps when he noticed a figure ahead, standing in the dim light. At first, he thought it was another crew member, perhaps someone new to the ship. But as he drew closer, the figure seemed different. Something about her stood out, something unmistakably alien. Her skin was a soft, shimmering silver blue, almost glowing in the low light. Her long hair flowed like liquid starlight, moving as if it had a life of its own. Jace froze, unsure of what to do. The crew of the Starlight Voyager had encountered aliens before, but this was something else. The figure didn't seem threatening, but her presence was undeniable. She was tall, taller than most humans, with an air of grace and elegance that Jace found both awe-inspiring and intimidating. And then there were her eyes, glowing orbs of violet that seemed to pierce through the dark hallway, locking onto him in a way that made his heart race. She was staring right at him, and in that moment, Jace felt a strange mix of wonder and unease. The alien girl smiled, a smile that was playful, confident, and, oddly enough, almost knowing. Jace hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say, but before he could speak, she beat him to it. "Well, well," she said, her voice smooth and soft but filled with a teasing confidence. "It's official, human. Your romance with me starts now." Jace blinked, trying to make sense of her words. "What?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper, half in confusion, half in disbelief. The idea of an alien just walking up to him and declaring something so absurd made his head spin. The alien girl tilted her head, her smile widening as if she found his reaction amusing. "Oh, don't pretend you're not interested," she continued, her tone light but teasing. "I'm a sorry, and you're going to be very important to me." Jace felt his cheeks warm. Was she joking? Was she mocking him? Or was she being serious? He had no idea how to respond. As far as he knew, humans and aliens weren't exactly the best of friends, let alone romantic partners. I'm not sure I understand," Jace stammered, trying to keep his composure. The girl, Asari, apparently, stepped a little closer, the glow from her skin casting soft light on the hallway's walls. "Oh, don't worry, human. You'll understand soon enough. You and I are going to do some amazing things together." She gave him a wink, and then, without another word, she turned and started walking away. Jace stood there for a few moments, still trying to process what had just happened. Was that some sort of test? A joke? Or was there more to it? His mind raced with questions. But one thing was certain. He couldn't get the image of Asari's glowing eyes and confident smile out of his head. As he returned to his quarters, later that evening, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just been irrevocably changed. What had just happened? And why did he feel like he was already caught in something much bigger than he could understand? The encounter had only been a few minutes long, but for Jace, it felt like the start of something that would change everything. He didn't know it yet, but his life aboard the Starlight Voyager was about to take a very unexpected turn. Jace woke up the next morning with Asari still on his mind. Her voice, her strange glowing eyes, and the bold way she had spoken to him, played over and over in his thoughts. He wasn't sure if he had dreamed it all, but the strange feeling in his chest told him it was real. After all, no dream had ever left him this confused, this curious. He dragged himself out of bed and dressed quickly, heading straight for the ship's central database room. If someone, anyone, on board had filed a report about an unknown alien visitor, it would be recorded there. But after searching through logs and security footage, he found nothing. No reports, no camera footage. It was like Asari had appeared and disappeared like a ghost. That only made things worse. Had he imagined her? Or was she hiding from everyone else? Later that day, Jace was assigned to escort a visiting diplomat through the observation deck. The deck had a wide view of the stars, with large glass windows stretching from floor to ceiling. As Jace stood near the edge, pointing out a nearby nebula, he heard a quiet voice behind him. "Looking for me, human?" He turned quickly, heart racing, and there she was. Asari stood near the corner, dressed in the same silver and black outfit, her hair shimmering like light through water. No one else seemed to notice her. The diplomat continued chatting with another officer, completely unaware. Asari gave Jace a wink and motioned for him to follow. For a moment he hesitated. He was on duty, he had orders, but his feet moved before his mind caught up. He followed her down a quiet side corridor, far from the main decks. When they reached a small maintenance room, she turned and looked at him. "You didn't dream me," she said softly, reading the question in his eyes. "And no, the cameras won't catch me unless I want them to." Jace stared at her, struggling to keep his thoughts in order. "Who are you?" he finally asked. "Why me?" She smiled, stepping closer. "I already told you I'm Asari. My people don't usually show ourselves to humans. We're observers, watchers. We study quietly. But you're different. You looked at me like I was real. Not a danger, not a target. You saw me." Jace tried to speak, but the words got caught in his throat. Everything about her was impossible. And yet here she was, standing inches away, speaking to him like they'd known each other for years. "You're not afraid?" he asked. Asari tilted her head slightly. "Should I be? You're the one whose heart is racing." Jace's face turned red, but she only laughed. A soft musical sound that echoed lightly in the small room. "Relax, Jace. I didn't come to harm you. I came to choose you." He blinked. "Choose me? For what?" She looked him in the eyes, her expression growing serious. "There are things coming. Big things. Changes. Dangers. My people have decided to stay hidden. But I don't believe in hiding anymore. I believe in standing beside someone who matters." She reached out and lightly touched his chest. "And I think you matter, more than you know." Jace felt something pulse under her touch, like warmth spreading through him. It wasn't painful, but it was strange, like something inside him had been unlocked. He stared at her, too stunned to speak. She stepped back. "I've marked you. It's a bond, not one you can break easily. But don't worry, human. I think you'll come to like it." She turned to leave, pausing at the door. "This is just the beginning. Stay close to the stars. I'll find you again." And then, like a shadow fading into mist, she was gone. Jace stood in the silence, trying to steady his breath. He wasn't sure what had started between them, but it was no ordinary meeting. Whatever this bond was, it had already begun to change him, and deep inside, he knew there was no going back. Jace couldn't stop thinking about Asari. Every moment, every conversation, every mission he carried out felt different now. There was a constant buzz in his mind, like the knowledge that something had shifted inside him, something he didn't understand but couldn't ignore. Her words echoed in his thoughts. "I've marked you. It's a bond, not one you can break easily." No matter what he did, he couldn't escape the connection that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. He had tried to focus on his duties, tried to ignore the strange feeling that lingered, but it was impossible. It wasn't just her presence. It was the knowledge that she had left something in him, something that tied him to her, and it wasn't something he could shake off easily. Weeks went by, and though he never saw her again, he felt her every now and then. It was like she was always just around the corner, always just out of sight. Jace started to wonder if he had truly gone mad, if this entire thing was just his imagination playing tricks on him. That is, until one night, when the unexpected happened. Jace was walking down one of the quiet corridors, his mind lost in thought, when a soft, familiar voice stopped him in his tracks. "I knew I'd find you here, Jace." It was Asari. But this time, something was different. The air felt electric, like the atmosphere itself was alive with energy. She stood in the shadows, her presence undeniable. He felt a rush of warmth spread through him the moment he heard her voice. She stepped into the light, her shimmering skin glowing like it had before. But this time there was something else in her eyes. A deeper understanding. A mysterious glint that made his heart skip a beat. "I didn't think you would come back," Jace managed to say, his voice betraying his disbelief. Asari smiled, a knowing look in her eyes. "I told you, human. I don't do things halfway. Once I choose someone, I stick to them. And you, Jace, you're mine now, whether you like it or not." The way she said it was playful, teasing, but there was an underlying seriousness to it, something that made Jace's stomach churn with a strange mix of excitement and fear. Asari took a step closer, her voice softer now. "You're feeling it too, aren't you? The bond, the pull. It's growing, isn't it?" Jace swallowed hard, trying to find his voice. "What do you want from me, Asari?" His question was blunt, but it was all he could think to ask. She didn't seem offended, though. Instead, she stepped even closer, almost too close. He could feel the heat radiating from her, and the pull that seemed to bind them together grew even stronger. "I want you to understand," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want you to understand why you matter, why this connection matters. The galaxy is changing, Jace. There's something coming, something that's going to affect us all, and you, human, are going to play a role in it, whether you're ready or not." Jace's heart raced as he tried to process her words. He had no idea what she meant by that. "But why me? Why not someone else?" he asked, his voice thick with confusion. Asari's smile widened. "Because you're different, Jace. You didn't look at me like I was some threat. You didn't see me as an enemy or something to fear. You saw me as a person. That's why you're the one. You'll learn soon enough, Jace, and when the time comes, you'll be glad I marked you." With that, Asari turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows of the ship's corridors, leaving Jace standing there, his mind spinning. What did all of this mean? What role could he possibly play in something so grand, something so important? As he made his way back to his quarters, his mind was filled with questions, but there was no one to answer them. For the first time, Jace realized that he was not just part of something bigger. He was part of something huge, something that was beyond his understanding, and the only person who seemed to know anything about it was Asari. And yet, no matter how confused or unsettled he felt, he couldn't deny the pull. The bond between them was real, and as much as he didn't understand it, he knew deep down that there was no escaping it now. As the days passed, Jace found himself struggling with the weight of his new reality. The connection with Asari, the alien girl who had marked him, was growing stronger with every encounter, every whisper in his mind, and every strange feeling he couldn't quite explain. At first, he had tried to ignore it. He told himself that he was imagining things, that this was all some kind of strange illusion, a byproduct of his tired mind and the stress of being stationed aboard a deep space exploration vessel. But the more he tried to distance himself from Asari, the more he felt the bond tightening. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was a presence. It was as if she was always with him, even when she wasn't physically there. It was in the way he heard her voice in his mind at odd moments, like a soft whisper that made his heart race. It was in the sudden rush of warmth that would flood his body when he thought of her. Jace couldn't focus on anything else. He felt distracted during his duties, restless during his off hours, and even his dreams were haunted by Asari. She was there, always watching, always waiting, with that knowing smile on her face. The more time passed, the more he realized that this wasn't just about her marking him. It was about something bigger, something far beyond his understanding. Asari had told him there were changes coming, something important that would affect the entire galaxy. But what did that mean for him? Why was he chosen? Why was he tied to her in a way that felt so powerful, so unbreakable? Then one night, just as he had resigned himself to the fact that he was no longer in control of his life, Asari appeared again. This time, she wasn't in a dimly lit hallway or a quiet corner of the ship. No, she was standing at the edge of the observation deck, gazing out at the stars. The ship was at a standstill, drifting peacefully through the void of space, and the sight of the stars always calmed Jace. But today, It felt different. Asari was there, and that made everything feel strange. When he approached her, she didn't turn around. She just stood there, her back to him, her long silver hair flowing like liquid light in the low glow of the stars. "You're finally starting to understand, aren't you?" she said without looking at him. Her voice, smooth and steady, sent a shiver down his spine. Jace didn't speak at first. He wasn't sure what to say. But she could sense his confusion, his frustration, and his need for answers. Without turning, she spoke again. "I've been watching you, Jace. Watching you for a long time. You're more than just a soldier. You're more than just a human. You're a key." "A key to what?" Jace asked, his voice a mix of curiosity and dread. Asari finally turned to face him, her violet eyes glowing brightly, more intense than he'd ever seen. "A key to the future," she said simply, her gaze locking with his. "Your kind, humans, have a unique power. You've always been underestimated, ignored. But that's changing. You're about to face something you've never seen before. Something that could either destroy everything or lead to a new future." Jace's mind raced. "What do you mean? What's coming?" Asari's expression softened, and she stepped closer, her presence overwhelming. "The galaxy has been in balance for centuries, Jace. But that balance is about to shatter. Forces are aligning, dark forces, ancient forces, that will stop at nothing to control everything. But there is hope. You are that hope. You and those like you." Jace felt the weight of her words settle on him like a heavy cloak. He was no hero. He was just a regular officer on a research ship. How could he possibly be the key to something so monumental? Asari reached out and gently placed her hand on his chest, where his heart beat wildly beneath his uniform. "You have more power within you than you realize. I marked you for a reason, Jace. You're ready. You may not see it now, but in time, you'll understand. You'll know what you need to do." Jace looked into her eyes, trying to find some sense of certainty, but there was only the unyielding pull of the bond between them. He didn't understand any of this. He didn't want to. But one thing was certain. He was no longer just a simple crew member. He was a part of something far bigger than he could have ever imagined. And no matter how much he wanted to fight it, no matter how much he tried to stay in control, he was drawn into it, drawn into her. And as the weight of Asari's words hung in the air, Jace knew that his life had changed forever. The galaxy was about to change, and he, Jace Carson, was going to be at the center of it. Jace couldn't escape the reality that had suddenly become his life. Every day, the connection with Asari seemed to grow stronger, pulling him deeper into a world he had never wanted to be a part of. He didn't understand it, and honestly, he didn't know if he ever could. The strange bond between them had become impossible to ignore. Asari had marked him, and now he was tied to her, bound to this alien girl in a way that felt far more profound than any physical attraction. She had said it herself. He was a key. The question was, what was he the key to? What was it that he could do that no one else could? These questions plagued his thoughts day and night, but there were no answers. She had warned him of dark forces approaching, but she never explained exactly what these forces were or how they would affect the galaxy. Jace's life had become a whirlwind of uncertainty. He was constantly haunted by dreams of Asari, dreams that seemed real, like she was calling out to him, pulling him into the unknown. There was always a sense of urgency in her voice, as if time was running out and something terrible was coming, something they couldn't stop, but no one else seemed to feel it. The rest of the crew on the ship went about their daily routines, oblivious to the strange bond that had formed between him and Asari. And yet, Jace couldn't help but feel that he was being prepared for something important, something that would change the entire galaxy. Every encounter with Asari only deepened the mystery, but also brought a strange sense of peace. He didn't understand why, but he trusted her. One day, while walking through the ship's corridors, Jace was stopped by a sudden familiar voice in his mind. "Jace, it's time," Asari's voice said, calm yet filled with a sense of urgency. He felt a strange warmth spread through him as her words reverberated in his mind. The bond between them was stronger than ever, and there was no denying that he felt an undeniable connection to her, Time for what? Jace thought back, his voice in his mind filled with both confusion and a tinge of excitement. Asari's voice answered him almost immediately. Time to embrace your destiny, human. The forces I've warned you about are near. You must prepare. Prepare for what? Jace asked, his heart pounding. Asari didn't respond immediately, and Jace's frustration grew. He knew that the time had come for him to understand what was happening, to understand why he was so important in all of this. When she spoke again, her voice was filled with a quiet certainty. The galaxy is about to change. You and I, Jace, we are the catalysts. You're ready, and it's time to face the future. At that moment, Jace understood that he had no choice. The life he had known was gone. This wasn't just about him or Asari anymore. It was about something much bigger. He was part of something larger than himself, something that could alter the course of the galaxy. He had been chosen. It wasn't just some random occurrence or coincidence. There was a purpose to it all, something that had been set into motion the moment he met Asari. Jace's mind raced as he prepared for whatever was to come. He wasn't sure if he was ready, if he was strong enough, but he knew one thing for certain. He couldn't back out now. He had been marked, bound to Asari in a way that could not be undone. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy was on the brink of something monumental, and Jace Carson, an ordinary man who never asked for any of this, was at the center of it. As he made his way to the ship's command center, Jace's thoughts swirled with questions, doubts, and fears. But as soon as he stepped into the room, he felt the familiar presence of Asari beside him. It was as if she had always been there, just waiting for him to realize it. And with her, he knew that he was not alone. Whatever came next, he would face it with her by his side. In that moment, Jace understood that the galaxy was changing, and he, along with Asari, would be the ones to lead it into the future. There was no turning back. The romance between him and Asari wasn't just a bond of passion, it was a bond of fate. And now, together, they were about to face the unknown, ready to shape the galaxy's destiny.